Ladies and gentlemen, grab a seat because we need to talk about something that happened in Philadelphia, and it has apparently short-circuited a lot of people's understanding of what a lookalike contest actually is. We just wrapped up the 4th of July. We just crossed the 250th birthday of this nation, a quarter of a millennium since a group of men in powdered wigs decided to roll the dice on a brand new experiment called the United States of America. And on the eve of that celebration, in the very city where so much of that history was written, something took place that has people scratching their heads, raising their eyebrows, and asking a very simple question. What exactly are we doing here? Let me set the scene for you. Independence Mall, Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, the birthplace of the Declaration of Independence, the home turf of one of the most iconic figures in American history. On Friday, the day before Independence Day, dozens of people gathered together for what should have been a lighthearted, patriotic little celebration. This wasn't some high-stakes political summit. This wasn't a court case. This was a Benjamin Franklin Lookalike contest. That's it. That was the whole event. A fun, harmless, historically flavored competition where people show up dressed as one of the founding fathers and see who wears it best. And listen, I want to be clear about something right from the jump. There is nothing wrong with a lookalike contest. Nothing. These events are charming. They're a slice of Americana. You get people who love history, people who love their city, people who just want to have a good time, putting on a costume and celebrating the country. That's beautiful. That's exactly the kind of grassroots patriotism that keeps the spirit of this nation alive. So don't misunderstand me. I'm not here to trash the concept. I'm here to talk about the outcome, because the outcome is where things get, let's say, interesting. Here's what went down. Dozens of participants showed up decked out in full character. We're talking powdered wigs, we're talking bifocals, we're talking 18th century style clothing straight out of the colonial era. And these folks came prepared, they came committed. Each contestant paid $1 to enter, and the winner would walk away with the entire prize pool, $1 to play, and the crowd gets to enjoy the spectacle. Simple, clean, fun. Now, the whole point of a lookalike contest, and I really shouldn't have to explain this, but here we are, is that you're supposed to look like the person in question. That's it. That's the entire premise baked right into the name. It's not a who loves Benjamin Franklin the most contest. It's not a who has the best colonial spirit contest. It's a lookalike contest. The judging criteria is right there in the title. You look at the contestants, you compare them to Benjamin Franklin, and you pick the one who bears the closest resemblance. Straightforward, right? Well, apparently not, because the winner of this Benjamin Franklin lookalike contest, and I promise you I am not making this up, is a black woman, a Philadelphia resident named Kaya Burgess.
I love cosplay. I love dressing up, and I already had this costume. So I just wanted to come and show everyone, what I made, because I like to sew, and, this is one of my first costumes. Why do you think you won today? I don't know. I think it's because of the wig. Like, the wig is very curly. I think it's also just like, because I made it. I don't know, though. I was so unexpected. I was not expecting to win.
She was declared the winner, and by all accounts, she's a Dari Wasaker, Wara Haken, Where Waris, Wari, Yeri, Wari, Prairie. She was excited. She accepted the prize surrounded by fellow contestants, holding a kite in her hand, a nice little nod to Franklin's famous experiments with electricity. And look, credit where it's due, she seems like a genuinely enthusiastic, patriotic person. I'm not taking a single thing away from her on that front. If she loves this country and loves participating in these events, more power to her. But here's where I have to pump the brakes and inject a little bit of reality into the situation.
I thought it was just a little nerd meetup, and we all got to just show our flex our brains, and it became the biggest thing ever.
Okay, congratulations on your win. Thank you so much for sharing it. Brianna, Laura, you can't beat this. This is Ben Franklin here. I'll toss it back to you.
You can't. I love she said her friends that she cosplays with.
Yes, you better use your Michael's coupons.
That's right.
Making your stuff. Good for you. I love a good creator.
So
Are you kidding
beautiful.
me?
This is a lookalike contest, and with all due respect, she looks nothing like Benjamin Franklin. Nothing. And I don't say that to be cruel or dismissive, because it's simply the truth staring us right in the face. Let's just lay out the obvious facts, shall we? Benjamin Franklin was a white man. Kaya Burgess is a black woman. Right there, you've got two pretty fundamental differences that make the concept of resemblance a very tall order. Her skin color is, frankly, about the same as mine, and she is, of course, a woman, whereas Franklin was decidedly a man. So when you're talking about a lookalike contest, these aren't minor details. These are the whole ball game. And here's the part that really makes you tilt your head. There was a clip captured of the moment, and standing right next to the winner was a gentleman who looked dramatically more like Benjamin Franklin than she did. I mean it. This guy had the whole package. If you lined the two of them up side by side and asked a total stranger, which one of these people is supposed to be Benjamin Franklin, there wouldn't even be a debate. The answer would be immediate. So the natural question becomes, how does the guy who actually resembles the historical figure lose the lookalike contest to someone who bears zero resemblance? I genuinely want to know. What was the judging logic there? Even the man who helped crown the winner had an interesting take on the whole thing. Mitchell Kramer, who was involved in the crowning, offered this quote, "There's something about chubby and bald that just, I don't know. The French like it, and so it seems does the Philadelphians." Now that's a colorful way to describe Franklin's iconic look. And it's true, Franklin had a very distinctive appearance. The receding hairline, the round figure, the spectacles, that was his signature. So if that's the aesthetic we're celebrating, if that's the look everyone's supposedly trying to capture, then it makes the final decision even more puzzling. Let me walk you through the clips because I watched them and I kept looking. I really did. There was one clip of her surrounded by fellow contestants, all of them dressed as Benjamin Franklin. And again, your eye immediately drifts to the gentleman on the right, the one who genuinely captured the essence of the man. Then there was another clip, this one from CNN, where the winner actually had the glasses on. She's holding the kite, she's got the spectacles, she's leaning into the character, and I studied it. I really tried to see it, and I have to be honest with you, I'm still not seeing the resemblance, not even a little bit, not a hint of it. Now, I'll be the first to admit my own limitations here. I wear contacts, I wear glasses, so maybe there's something wrong with my vision. Maybe I'm missing some detail that everyone else caught. I'm willing to entertain that possibility. But I looked at every single clip they put out, and no matter how many times I watched, the conclusion was the same. There is no resemblance, zero, not close, not in the ballpark, and it wasn't just her and the one gentleman. There were other people in the background too, other contestants, even some other women. So it's not like the field was empty. There were options. There were people who looked far more the part. So let's step back and ask the bigger question, because that's really what this whole thing is about. What would Benjamin Franklin himself think if he could witness this moment? Picture it. You bring the man back to life, you sit him down, and you tell him, hop bull. Ben, congratulations. There was a contest to find your closest lookalike, and the winner is a black woman. I imagine he'd be more than a little confused. I imagine he'd look at you and say something along the lines of, "What on earth are you talking about?" And honestly, that reaction would be completely understandable. That's not a controversial thought. That's just common sense. And this is what makes the whole situation so telling. We just celebrated 250 years as a nation. We just honored the very people who founded it. If the founding fathers could somehow observe America in 2026, what would they make of moments like this? I think they'd be stunned. I genuinely do. They'd look at a lookalike contest that seems to have abandoned the very concept of looking alike, and they'd wonder what happened to plain, straightforward logic. Because let's call it what it is, this feels like the ideology of the day creeping into a space where it simply doesn't belong. A lookalike contest is about as apolitical, as harmless, as neutral an event as you can possibly imagine. And yet, somehow, even here, the standard of does this person actually look like the subject got tossed aside. And you have to ask yourself why. Were the judges genuinely convinced she was the spitting image of Franklin, or was there something else at play? Was there perhaps a hesitation, a fear that saying, she really doesn't resemble him, would somehow get them labeled or attacked? I'd love to know who the judges were and what their reasoning was, because if the criteria was resemblance, the decision doesn't add up. And if the criteria was something else entirely, enthusiasm, spirit, participation, then fine, but then it's not really a lookalike contest anymore, is it? Call it something else. Be honest about what you're actually judging. Don't put lookalike in the title and then hand the crown to the person who looks the least like the target. That's the whole issue here. It's not about the winner as a person. She seems delightful, she seems genuinely happy and patriotic, and I have no doubt she earned her spot through her energy and enthusiasm. This isn't a criticism of her at all. It's a criticism of a decision that seems to defy the basic premise of the event itself. When you strip away all the noise and just look at the plain facts, a white male historical figure, a lookalike contest, and a winner who shares none of his defining physical characteristics, while a much closer match stood right beside her, you can't help but scratch your head. At the end of the day, this is a small event in the grand scheme of things. A $1 entry costume contest on Independence Mall isn't going to change the course of history, but it's a little snapshot, isn't it? A little window into where we are as a culture, a moment where the obvious answer and the chosen answer went in two completely different directions. And when something as simple and lighthearted as a lookalike contest gets tangled up in this kind of confusion, it makes you wonder about the bigger picture. Some folks like to say that a certain mindset is fading, that it's on its way out, that we're returning to plain old common sense. And then a story like this comes along and reminds you that we're not quite there yet. A black woman won a Benjamin Franklin lookalike contest. Benjamin Franklin was a white man. Those two facts sit right next to each other, and no amount of spin changes the plain reality of it. You genuinely cannot make this stuff up. So that's the story out of Philadelphia. That's what happened on the eve of America's 250th Independence Day in the city where it all began. A fun little contest, a surprising outcome, and a whole lot of people wondering how we got here. I'll leave the final judgment to you. Take a look at the facts, take a look at the clips if you can find them, and decide for yourself whether the resemblance is there. As for me, I looked, and I just don't see it. Maybe you'll see something I don't. But from where I'm standing, this one's going to stick with people for a while. Let me know what you think in the comments. I genuinely want to hear your take on all of this. And as always, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.